Hey everybody, and welcome to Dee Talk Live, Love Talk Mondays. How is everyone today? I hope everybody is having an amazing night. You've settled in or having dinner at this moment, as many of us do at about 7 o'clock. You've had a wonderful, long, beautiful weekend, even though it wasn't a long weekend. It was nice and long and enjoyable, and now you're ready for another fantastic week. So sit back, relax. We're here to talk about my favorite topic in this world, which is love. And tonight we go into the other side of it, how it translates, how it makes us form a relationship with it. In a way of it being depicted and pinpointed towards sex, because sex is a massive topic and it's what people are so interested about. And according to statistics by the journal, 19 times throughout the day men actually think about sex, and then us beautiful ladies think about sex 10 times per day. Some others don't tend to think about it because it doesn't interest them, but in context it does. It's a taboo at the end of the day, and many people don't like speaking about it. But how does it form a society? How does it manifest in a way where it's surrounded by us in order to be created throughout our everyday life? And that has a lot to do with the advertising, the things we see, the things we buy, the things we like, the things we dislike, things that are always so sensual, things that attract us, that want us to be perceived in a specific, they want things to be perceived in a specific way. So you can go and buy these things, things that say, hey, that beats to the, that beats to the, the beat of my drum, like it basically makes me, I want that. So that's why tonight we thought we'd bring up the topic of does sex sell? Years and years ago, hello Georgia and everybody else that's out there, you beautiful people, love you so much. Years and years ago, I was doing advertising while I was doing a component throughout my journalist degree. And my teacher at the time had said, sex sells. And we were like, but how? How does sex sell? He's like, look at the advertising, look at the language, look at the message that comes across. How does it influence you to buy a product? What does it do that makes us so excited to want to look like that person in that picture? Or, there might be a car that a man thinks, oh, I'm going to get more women, driving this car because they've made it so, sexual or sensual. And then there are different ways in which somebody can advertise something. So in an advertising campaign, especially for women, it should be done in a way where it's appealing for women, not derogatory, not sexist, because many companies throughout the years have had so many complaints and so many downfalls because no one actually buys what they're trying to sell, especially if it's towards the opposite sex. That's where sex in particular, when selling it, it's often classified as being great to use if you're actually selling a sexual product, whether it be a sex toy or whether it be a piece of lingerie. Sex sells when it has to do with sex. Other ways we can somewhat pinpoint sex selling is by really coming up with a great marketing strategy and a story behind that strategy in order to maybe bring it about towards sex without the actually consumer really thinking about it. But then when you take it all apart, you're able to see that there is somewhat hidden aspects of sexual orientation or sexual depiction being hidden underneath. And that's why it's so, interesting. For years, sex has been a topic and it's what people love doing, especially throughout COVID. Within 2019, it was huge. It was what was happening because we were obviously forced into self-isolation, and it was something that, we could only do. A lot of the times, people that were obviously single, as I had stated in my post as well for today, they would go to Pornhub. And there was a statistic that I put up there as well. You can go back and look at that. The statistics were massive throughout 2019 and especially throughout COVID. Because obviously, when you can't really go out to meet somebody, what do? You bring the arena to your home. You bring the action to your home and the entertainment to your home in order to make you feel great and to bring the sensuality back into your life, because it's missing at that stage in time. Many other advertising agencies and many companies, a lot of them tend to still use sex, and sometimes it is quite sexist, and I won't name those companies. You guys can Google them for yourselves, but I did a lot of research behind this, and a lot of things that I found were very sexist towards women. And there were great examples of a good advertising campaign and a bad advertising campaign. The good advertising campaign basically brought out as selling sex or advertising it in order for us to buy it in a really tasteful way. The other way looked quite derogatory because it was, I'll put it in this way, it somewhat looked as though a lady was surrounded with a lot of men, but in a really bad way. And it sort of looked as though they were doing unlawful things to the lady in this prime, popular fashion boutique label advertising campaign. I won't say who they are, but you can look it up for yourself. So basically, we had gone into these specific, ideologies, and we had gone into the real essence of what, sex pretty much means and what it brings forth, especially within terms of advertising. So it is somewhat a great way of getting the message across, especially in terms of image. Image tends to be one of the biggest denominators, because when you put a sexual image out there, you're always going to have a second look. You're always going to want to know what it's about. Or if somebody's written an article, you're always going to be like, oh, what have they written? And how does it, make me want to really be with this person? Or, what am I saying? Oh yeah, wanting to know exactly what it's about. So what is it all about? What exactly does this advertisement say to me? And it captures our attention. So it's all about capturing the attention. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the feeling. So sex is not only a bodily emotion, it's also a psychological emotion, especially when you think about it. When you share that intimacy, that sensual pleasure, and basically that form of communication that you might have with somebody, it's all about, It's all about wanting to, emphasize it in a way. And that's what really entices the viewer and entices the whole concept behind advertising and sex selling. If you don't have the concept correct, if you're not able to put it forward in a way where it really interests and wants the other, it's the consumer at the end of the day that you're trying to pinpoint. If you don't have that attention, you're not going to get the sale and it's not going to be a success. But if you're able to really go into it and understand what your consumer wants, especially in regards to the brand or organization that you're from, you're able to really pinpoint those ideas, put them together as a whole, and really target your audience. And that's the reason why many have argued or agreed, let's just say, that women should be the creators or the masterminds behind women's advertising, especially when it comes to selling something for women, because they know better. But in saying that, that's just being sexist as well, right? So it's an argument, it's a point that had been brought up, which I believe has some truth. But, in my opinion, yes, we as women know what we want. I understand that. But we've got to give, the men a go as well, and vice versa, especially with men. Men have to be sometimes taught in a specific way. So that's where the communication comes into it as well. If you're able to communicate that message, if you're able to put that forth and work together, you're able to bring out a fantastic product, which then sex sells, it's even with advertising campaigns, they're massive, and creatives, it's what they live and breathe for. As I said, sex is liquid gold to advertising campaigns, to one sense, because it makes the money. That's what it's, if it's appealing, if it's enticing, if it's something that we want, definitely it'll work. But remember, it's always got to be done precisely, and it's got to be done in a way where it's going to grab us and catch us and make us say, hey, this is really what I want to buy, and that lingerie will be perfect for that night out with that, distinguished gentleman that I'll be, going out on that date, or, vice versa. It could be anything. It could even be power tools, and, with power tools, in regards to men, they want to be powerful. It's the, it's the testosterone in them, So many things can be pretty much delved into and really researched, especially, So in my experience, I do believe that it does sell, but to a specific point, only when it's done in the right way. Because sometimes it's quite tasteful. It's a bit, it's just not right, because it doesn't work, sometimes. And that's where the creatives really need to get working and get out there. It's another thing where, I'll give you another example, of about sex selling. When you see somebody, a celebrity, let's just say, and they're talking to you, right? They're selling themselves while they're talking to you, right? They're selling every single facet of themselves. And what we see from the exterior is always so beautiful, right? And that's what sells us. That's our driving point to start off with. And I spoke about this with a friend of mine the other day. But in saying that, if we don't have the emphasis behind it, so the knowledge, the wisdom, and what we're basically saying does not make sense, or there's no relevance to what we're saying, the viewer, what happens? They just get a bit bored, and, vice versa. It's a form of advertising within itself, or just promoting, right? So I'm here promoting, what Dee thinks, and, if I'm not able to get the message across, or if I'm not able to, have information on the matter, we get disinterested, we get a bit, bored, and we're like, okay, don't worry about it, it's fine, I don't really want to hear what, she has to say, or vice versa. So it's always about the initial contact you have, especially with your viewers as well. In regards to advertising, you advertise yourself and you pinpoint yourself to that principle of respectability, right? And my viewers know I love them so much, and, we really appreciate all the support. But I'm always going to have information, and I'm always going to have, great ideas behind specific concepts and topics that we address every week, because it's part of who I am and what I'm here to offer you. So it's a service. And that's like what advertising is. Advertising is a service. It's the way of getting, it's a way of reeling that person in. And it's a way of making you buy that product and making you love it, and thinking and making you think that you're going to, feel like amazing, and I'm going to be so sexy and, sensual, and it's going to make me, look exactly like them. So it's always, the image, the ideology, the story behind a specific advertising campaign or a product that really makes us believe in that concept and that product, to want to really own it and want it, you know? So it does sell. Sex does sell, but to a specific point. And there's a lot more behind this concept as well, which I can go into. It's crazy, but we don't have enough time actually. And that's got to do with the psychology behind it, as well, and how we think and what we believe will sell. So it's always about the psychoanalysis, the way we perceive it, the way the product, what it drives us, what types of stories go into our mind or ideas in order to present it, right? And that has to do with, yes, the male gender and the female gender, but it's always perceived and received quite differently as well. Thank you again to everybody for joining me tonight on Dee Love Talk Live. I love you guys so much. I hope we are having an awesome night. It is freezing outside. I went out there before and I was mortified. I'm like, what is going on? It's obviously expected due to the fact that winter is near. I hope everybody is really well. You're taking care of each other. We are going to be doing another fantastic live this Thursday, so keep your eyes open. Many more events on the horizon, which I will be speaking about quite soon. Thank you again to everybody for your love and your support and your constant beautiful messages and questions and vice versa, everything. I really appreciate it, and the guys, you know, are really appreciative as well. As we are thriving, yay! You guys have a beautiful evening, and I will see you again on Thursday for Dee Talk Live. I love you so much. Many blessings, much light and love to everybody out there in this beautiful world of ours. Good night. Dee out. Bye everyone. See you later.